We have a stop time at 1 p.m. So, so for the DOJ staff, the question is, given what we have left and it's substantial, what would be your recommendations for covering what we need to cover and providing an opportunity for public comment?
So, I mean, it's really up to the subcommittee, but I think our recommendation or suggestion might be to allow for public comment on the topics we've discussed thus far and to schedule another subcommittee meeting ahead of the full board meeting so that we can cover some of the other topics because I know there will be a lot of interest in those topics as well.
Right.
And we can have fuller discussions on those topics rather than try to rush them in the next, uh, you know,
Right.
15, 20 minutes or even half hour.
Right.
But you can all
Okay.
vote, you can all decide what your preference is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Do other board members think differently?
I agree.
I can do another meeting.
I agree with another meeting as well.
I think that's critical mass. Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Then let's do this. We will open it up to public comment, and Allison, could you shepherd that public comment? I'm on a phone with limited ability to see chats and such.
Sure, I can do that.
And I would just say that before we go into public comment, that to the board members who are here today, there's nothing that prevents you from sharing your wordsmithing recommendations or other recommendations directly with DOJ staff via email to help them move along. So with that, Allison, I'll turn it over to you for shepherding public comment.
Great. So why don't we start with public comment? Let's start with anyone who is in Northern California first. And if you are on video and you'd like to unmute your video for public comment, you may. If you'd like to just be on audio, that is fine as well. So we'll begin with Northern California to see if anyone would like to make a public comment. Okay. Well, okay. Why don't we go to, let's go to Central California next. Is there anyone in Central California who would like to make a public comment? I see Mr. Hilton's video. So Mr. Hilton, we can move on to Southern California next. And Mr. Hilton, why don't you, I'm assuming this means you would like to make a public comment, so please go ahead.
I most certainly do want to make some comments. I hope and trust that what I've sent to the RIPA board has been forwarded to each member. I find myself taken aback that when I attend a meeting that is under the auspices of the California Department of Justice, I expect that what is said by people who represent the department would be factual. I speak specifically of the notion that the California Department of Justice had a policy that prohibited consent searches. The policy was the result of a lawsuit filed by the ACLU, and anticipating and tacitly admitting that the CHP was involved in profiling, the Commissioner Helmick decided, long after the lawsuit was filed, to prohibit consent searches. So I dare say that what was said to the public, all of us, was not complete. Secondly, with all due respect, Professor Raphael, getting more data will get us nowhere. We will learn nothing new. There is no data that exists that shows that two groups, the blacks and the Hispanics, are ever found with more contraband than whites and Asians. No data in California and no data elsewhere. So the most that we can learn from this is that more bad data tells us more of the same. Let us speak of bad data. It seems, this is not certain, but at least 40% of field interview data has not been submitted to the CADOJ. Sitting underneath these things are searches, consent searches, uses of force, etc. In other words, waiting for more data is waiting for more bad data. We don't need any more of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hilton. Anyone else in Southern California wish to make a comment? Okay, we'll give one more chance for anyone on the phone or anyone in Northern, Central, or Southern California. If you'd like to make a comment, please let us know.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
For some reason, I'm unable to turn my camera on or raise my hand, so I'm not sure if I have to go into my settings. But I would like to introduce myself. My name is Andrea Crook. I am the Director of Advocacy with Access California. We are a program through Cal Voices, which is a peer-run organization. We are funded through CCJBH and have individuals with lived experience with the criminal justice system in all 5 MHSA regions. And this is my first time attending your meeting. I really appreciate the thoughtful dialogue. And I just had a couple questions because it is my first time. I wasn't sure. It's really a question around process, and I put it in the chat box, but I was a little taken aback that you weren't taking public comment prior to voting. And so is this board under the Bagley-Keene? Just a point of procedure, because I think this is something that the stakeholders and the individuals we work with are the population that you're really here to serve and support. And I think their voices would be meaningful. However, if they can't provide input prior to vote, I want to make sure that they're using their time wisely. So thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Are there any other public comments? Any further comments from the board?
Allison, would it be possible to respond? I mean, or provide us guidance on that last question?
So the board is subject to the Bagley-Keene Act. The board, the subcommittee, and the board does allow for public comment, as we are doing now. The subcommittee vote was to present the issues to the full board. So before the full board makes the final decision on any of these issues, we can make sure that there's public comment period before the final votes on these issues. But the meetings and the notice and agenda all provide for public comment. It's just a matter of when the public comment takes place in reference to the discussions themselves. But because this was a vote not by the full board to make the recommendation, but for the subcommittee to bring this issue to the board, the public comment period was placed after the discussion by the board. But for the full board meeting, we can ensure and that there's a public comment period before the board takes any final vote on any of the issues. to make sure that the public, the public perspectives and views are heard on these issues. Are there any other public comments before we go to next steps? Okay, I think that's it for the public comment period.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you to the members of the public who were providing input throughout the meeting on the chat, and for those of you who spoke just now. Looks like we'll be having another meeting, and Allison will be waiting to hear from you about when that will be. We invite the public to join us at that meeting. You are welcome to continue to provide feedback to the Department of Justice directly before that next meeting. If you have comments on the documents or the discussion that were presented today, that you can email the Department of Justice, or you can join us at the next meeting. So thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
And you can email the DOJ at ab953@doj.ca.gov. So if anyone is interested, and we do share public comments we receive about specific aspects of the report or discussions, we do share those with the board. So please feel free to email us. Again, it's ab953@doj.ca.gov, and Anna put that in the chat as well. So we welcome your comments, and we will be in touch with the subcommittee members regarding the next meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to our next meeting. Andrea, thank you for moving us forward. Great.
Thanks, everyone.